Yo, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to Comic Swag. Your boy J Rock right here. Now, today we're gonna be dropping a review slash overview of this huge book. It's called The Goon. It's the library edition. It's written and illustrated by Eric Powell. So I'm gonna give you a quick review, meaning my overall thoughts of the story and art and so forth. Then we're gonna do an overview, checking out the physical build of it and the design. And lastly, we're gonna flip through some of the pages, check out the art, and just talk about whatever's going on in the actual page at the whatever page I happen to flip through, right? All right. So this is basically about this guy called the Goon. The Goon meaning he's kind of like a mob enforcer. It seems like it's set kind of like in the 40s, and he killed this mob guy, right? And he after he killed him, he says, "Oh, I'm his enforcer, so I'm working for him." This guy named Labrazio, and Labrazio no longer exists. He has killed them, but he had a reputation. So now that he's his enforcer, saying he works for him, it carries some clout, right? As opposed to starting from the bottom and making a name for yourself. He uses that guy's name to kind of collect debts, other people that owe him money, and he obviously keeps the money for himself, right? So he's no hero, right? He's a shady guy. He's in it to make some money for himself. Him and his homies just trying to get by through life, right? His mentality and his ideology, it reminds me a lot of Conan. Conan constantly steals from kings, goes to find lost treasures, and he does things like this, right? Because, or sometimes he's a gun for hire, right? He's just trying to get through life, trying to pay the bills, right? Trying to make money for food and for a place to stay. Same thing with the Goon. Their personalities are kind of different, but their ideology, the way they get by, is very similar, right? The art on this is phenomenal. I really enjoyed the art. It's very energetic, very bright, which is it's an odd mix. Eric Powell just makes it work. It's cartoony, the art style, and it's bright colors, but the stories are comedic, but they have also a kind of horror theme to them, right? You get a lot of monsters and stuff like that. So because of the art style, it never quite felt eerie, but it does have moments where it does feel a little eerie, right? He did a good job of mixing action, adventure, sometimes a little bit of a horror vibe, and the stories get a little bit more deep and gruesome, almost even sinister at moments. But at the same time, he knows how to mix that up with humor and being kind of comedic. So I love what he did here because you've mixed in a lot of genres together, and he made it work because that's kind of hard to do. Sometimes it just doesn't work, right? It comes off like it's a mess, and like the book doesn't quite know what it's trying to be. Here, it never felt that way. And it's funny to me that Eric Powell in the beginning, he mentions that, oh, my art was real rough right here. I look at the art, there's nothing rough about it. It's very well done, and it tells the story the way it's supposed to, right? I could say he shows pictures from the beginning of the series to the end of the series. The art does change. Art never felt rough or it never felt amateurish, right? It was always solid art. I think he just evolved as an artist and he kind of changed his style. So the style was slightly different. He tweaked it over the years, right? But it never felt rough. Like Rob Liefeld, for example, right? Where you see some of his art and it feels rough. Like, oh, like, it's he needs to improve on this or that, right? This never had that feel. It felt more like he just decided to change the style up. All right, so now let's do a brief overview. Check out the build, the dust jacket, and so forth, the extras, and then we'll flip through some of the pages and enjoy the art some, right? All right, so here's the dust jacket. The character here, he's kind of like it almost feels like a sticker, right? It's like a glossy picture. And then the rest of the dust jacket is a matte finish. So you see how it has the gloss only on the character, but not on the rest. Okay, and it goes all the way through. So I kind of enjoy that. It goes all the way through a wraparound. You get a long, big picture showcasing Eric Powell's art, which again, like I said, I really do enjoy. I thought it was really nicely done. And here it has the cover price. It's $40. This is an older release, came out about 6 years ago. So in today's day and age, a book like this from Dark Horse probably be about $50, which is still a great deal for the amount of material you get, for the quality of the book, and just how big the book is. Totally still worth it. And my copy, as you can see, the color changes on the spine because I bought it used, and the person that had it before, the spine on the bookshelf was the sun was hitting it, right? So you see the color changes from this to this. In the original copy, everything would be the same shade of green. So don't think that the spine is a different color, okay? Now these are the inner sides of the dust jacket. Eric Powell, the man himself. I gotta say, I really love this. This was written in the early 2000s. So here's a picture of the hardcover without the dust jacket. So it's kind of the same picture. It's the Goon and it's this. You just don't get the title up here. You get it over here on the spine. And you don't get the green color, right? You don't get any of the writing here, what materials in it, or any of that. Here is the binding. As you can see, it's phenomenal. Look at how flat it lays. No gutter loss whatsoever. Look at that. Almost perfectly straight flat. That's amazing. The straighter this is, the better. So this is like perfect. This is the inner covers. It's just solid black, nothing special. Would have been cool if I had some kind of picture here. That's okay. You get this huge picture here in the beginning. The Goon, Library Edition, Volume 1, Eric Powell. Here we get the table of contents. Really nicely done. It's Volume 1. It's called Nothing But Misery. Starts on page 89. Volume 2, Volume 3. So it collects the first 3 volumes of the Goon. It just says them by the name of the volume instead of by number. It doesn't say volume 1, 2, 3, right? It has names. So you see here the page count, 491. And after that, it goes a little more. It's close to 500 pages. Next page, again, we have the Goon here. And it gives you the cover to the issue, right? It's called Rough Stuff. Colors by Dave Stewart. So this is more like of a painted style here, right? Really enjoy it. It does give you the cover, so I like that as well. Gives you the introduction. This is forward to the 2002 edition. Okay, so they're talking about right here, they're talking about the trade paperback. And then here it gives you this little vague story about how, oh, look how rough my art is, and look at how he used to draw this character. You see him? He has kind of like a long, thin face, and this is how he draws him now. It's a little more rounded, right? His face isn't as long like how it was here. It's a little shorter and like closer to being round. So you saw how from the first issues to here, it's slightly been polished up a little bit. Okay, here it says prologue. Now this picture was drawn in 1998, but the series I believe started in 2000, right? And this is it almost looks like Simon Bisley, even though it's Powell, just because of the way it's painted style. Really enjoy this cover as well. It's prologue right here. Now here's the art to expect. And you get right away, you get some of the main characters. This is his main villain, at least in these first 3 volumes. This is the main guy you're gonna fight. He runs the city. He runs because it's about a lot of mobsters, right? But with a horror vibe. Now in his town, he runs his city, and it's all zombies in his city. And the story will explain to you how they became zombies. And that's the guy that is sending out a hit to kill the Goon. So that immediately in the beginning, it's his main nemesis. And he's doing this experiment on this monkey. So that's going to be a monster the Goon has to fight down the road, right? And most of the villains he fights are huge. He's a big guy, but he's usually kind of the underdog because the guys he's fighting are bigger than he is. For example, here's this guy he has to fight, this fish guy. And look how much bigger he is than the Goon, right? Look how he just tosses him around. Here in the action scene here. So here's the art. You see a lot of the backgrounds. It's just colors, right? There's not like a lot of detail to them. By the time you get to the 3rd, 4th issue, you see the art improving. There's more backgrounds. The characters design themselves slightly changed, but the big takeaway I got from it is the backgrounds. You get more background, so we know where we're at. Here, you can't even tell. Are they in a basement? Are they in the ocean? Where are we, right? And the Goon, he gets this chainsaw. Now here, look. The Goon gets this chainsaw. And look at the chainsaw. It's even kind of cartoony. And here you see him chop this guy's arm off. He was already missing 1 leg, 1 arm. Now he chopped off the other arm and the other leg. Man, that shit is brutal. So now this guy's going to have 2 hook hands and 2 peg legs. And you see him right here. He just minced meat, right? Look at him. And the Goon just walks away saving his buddy right there. Here we got chapter 2. Here's the Goon as a kid. And here's the mobster he killed. And he took this guy's name, Labrazio. So he killed him and said, oh, I'm his enforcer. And now he starts getting a rep through this guy's name, right? Now, whenever you go to flashbacks, the art changes like this. Here's the Goon as a kid. And you see how the art is a lot different here from here, right? So it's like a more, I don't want to say it's a painted color, but it's almost like crayons instead of just digital coloring or whatever. Here's the cover to the next issue. This is once we're like on chapter 3, the covers. start changing. They're no longer that painted style, right? Like now it looks like a comic book, right? The name up here and all this. We meet this guy, the Buzzard. He's a badass character too. Now the Goon, as he's fighting more and more characters, every 3 issues is like a story arc, right? He fights a villain, and as the book progresses, those same villains start becoming his friends. He starts kind of forming his own gang, right? Like his own squad, which I really enjoyed because they're all forming a group to fight other groups, right? Because the Goon, even though he's kind of out for himself, he's slowly changing into protecting the town from outsiders, right? Like this is our town, you don't mess with our people. So it kind of starts taking a turn where he's almost like a hero, right? Here we're 195 pages in, and you see here his sidekick. His head is already no longer super long, right? It's more like round already. So you see the art has already kind of changed. Look at the backgrounds. You get snow, you get trees, like we're getting backgrounds now, right? So you see the art has already been evolving. I like when we get artists or a run from the beginning, so you could kind of see the characters develop, but not just the character, the writer is developing and the artist is developing as they find their niche, right? Like, okay, what's gonna be this character's thing, or what's gonna be this plot, right? Like as they get more into it and they kind of figure out what they're doing more. Now this is funny right here. This story is like they're like almost like barbarians. This guy's clearly supposed to be like a Conan type character who should be the leader. He's a big strong guy, and all the rest of the followers, they follow this guy's lead, who's kind of like a really obviously kind of slow type of guy. Like he should clearly be the leader, and everybody follows him and defies him, and this guy's like, oh, I'm surrounded by idiots. Here he is again fighting another villain, and again look at how much bigger the guy he's fighting is than he is, right? So he's always kind of like undermanned or outgunned, right? Because he's always fighting guys bigger than him. And what I like about this is if you've ever seen the Game of Thrones where all the kingdoms fight each other and zombies start appearing, right? They call them the White Walkers. So as this starts happening, all the kingdoms unite. Like we gotta put our differences aside to take care of these White Walkers. Same things happens here. Every villain he fights, towards the end, they all come to help him because he's fighting by himself against a bunch of zombies. Little by little, more and more people are turning into zombies. So this other guy that owns the zombie town, that town is spreading their power right there. They're taking over other blocks. So now that gang is getting bigger. And all the other little groups, other little gangs are like, we have to help the Goon. First, it's all the living team up together to fight the dead, fight the zombies. So let's put our differences aside for now. It reminded me a lot of the Game of Thrones in that way. I really like the way the book wrapped up after the 3rd volume. Epic fighting between all the living against all the dead. It was real awesome. Here is the end of the book. We start getting some sketches and stuff, the extras. Kind of see how the characters started and how they change over, how they evolve. He had this character this way at first. Then he changed them to like this style. Kind of like, I feel this would have worked. But this works just as fine. It's another design he had for the character. This is the guy that controls all the zombies. He's turning all the humans into zombies. So the more zombies, the more people he turns into zombies, the bigger his territory is getting, right? In his gang or whatever. So that's the guy you want to stop. That's the big bad. Here's the Goon as he starts getting more friends. This guy starts being his friend. This guy starts growing a bigger gang, right? This guy starts being on his side. Look at this page here in black and white. This looks real awesome. I feel if had this book been in black and white, it would have felt completely different. It wouldn't have felt as comedic, even though the dialogue would have been the same. And it would have felt more eerie and more horror because the art looks completely different without the bright colors. It looks more like a horror book. But with the bright colors, it helps balance things out because those bright colors fit the dialogue a lot better and the tone of the actual stories, right? Now, if there's one thing I have to say about this book is the pages, they could be maybe a little thinner because they're so heavy with this type of a binding. To hold these heavy pages, since it's 500 of them, it's going to take its tone, right? And it's going to affect the book after you read it a few times. You're going to start seeing some sagging on the binding because it's going to be hard to hold up these pages because they're so heavy. Each page is about twice as thick as a Marvel Books page would be, right? So maybe 1.5 times instead of 2 times thicker would really help this. I have to check one of the more modern library editions. Maybe they're now different and maybe the pages are slightly thinner. I have not measured them, so I have no idea. Alright, so this was highly enjoyable for me, myself, personally. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, go ahead and hit that like button. And if you're not already subscribed, hit the subscribe button. That way you'll keep you notified on when I drop a new video, right? And if you like overviews, you like kind of seeing how the books look or hearing my opinions on them, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. There's going to be a lot more videos like this where I just flip through the pages, show the book, and kind of just talk about what I thought about it, right? So other than that, just check you guys out next time.